The stars over Velis 9 shimmered like frozen sparks, reflected in the humid clouds that drifted above the moon's surface. Captain Elias Trent stood before the command viewport of the TAS Aegis, his arms crossed behind his back. Below, the jungle canopy rippled beneath stormlight. To his left, the Dominion envoy ship floated in orbit, slender, glass-smooth, gleaming with pale green energy. "Final transmission check with the Kael'thari vessel," said Lieutenant Mara Hensley. "Their representative insists the treaty revisions will take another rotation to review." "Of course they do," Trent muttered. "They've stalled for months." He wasn't built for politics. He'd served through the Accord's border disputes and knew when silence hid something worse than words. Yet orders were clear: keep the peace, escort the researchers, don't provoke the Dominion. "Patch them through," he said. The hologram flared to life, an alien figure, tall and almost translucent, with eyes like drops of mercury. His voice resonated as if echoing through water. "Captain Trent, your people dig too deep on Velis 9. The Dominion Council questions your motives." "Our motives," Trent said evenly. "Our survival. We study the terrain for joint resource distribution. That's all." The alien's pupils narrowed. "You measure, you map, and soon you claim. The Oracle warned." "The Oracle is a myth," Trent interrupted. "Let's deal in reality." The hologram flickered out before he could finish. Trent exhaled. So much for diplomacy. Outside the viewport, the Dominion ship drifted silently. Nothing moved. For a long moment, even the hum of the bridge systems felt muted. Then the radar officer's voice broke the stillness. "Captain, I'm detecting energy spikes across multiple sectors. Power signatures, Kael'thari-class battleships, decloaking." "Where?" "Everywhere." The comm channels burst to life, alarms, overlapping voices, static, then the first flash. A beam of white light cut through the void, striking the Aegis's flank. The deck trembled. The crew staggered. "Shields to full!" Trent barked. "Return fire, pattern 3! Explosions rippled across the stars. What had been quiet diplomacy turned to chaos in seconds. The Dominion fleets, once hidden behind cloaking veils, unleashed their weapons without warning. Hensley steadied herself on the console. "This has to be a mistake." "No mistake," Trent said, his voice hard. "They chose this." He watched the surface feeds, colonial research domes burning, evacuation transports spiraling downward, static flooding the comms. Velis 9 was dying. "Send distress to Fleet Command," he ordered. "All channels, priority Alpha." Hensley's fingers flew over the console. "Transmission sent, but jamming fields are spreading. We'll lose long-range contact in 30 seconds. Trent's jaw tightened. He'd seen first strikes before, never this precise, never this fast. The Kael'thari hadn't acted in anger. This was premeditated annihilation. "Divert auxiliary power to engines," he said. "We're leaving orbit." The Aegis broke formation, engines igniting blue as the ship rose through the crossfire. On the forward display, Dominion cruisers fired in elegant, devastating arcs. The stars flared white. "Casualties on the surface?" "Massive. Colony structures 1 through 5 gone. No response from the ground teams." Trent closed his eyes briefly, forcing calm through the rising heat in his chest. When he opened them, his voice was level again. "Plot emergency trajectory. We regroup at rally point Theta." As the Aegis accelerated, a final explosion lit Velis 9's horizon, one of the colony's reactor cores detonating. The moon's clouds boiled red and gold. Hensley whispered, "They fired first. They really did it." Trent didn't answer. He remembered the quiet warnings from intelligence, rumors that the Dominion feared humanity's rapid expansion, that their ancient oracle had prophesied destruction if they ever provoked Terrans. But myths had no place in strategy. Humanity didn't believe in fate. Humanity built its own. "Captain," the tactical officer said. 2 Dominion interceptors pursuing. Range closing. Redirect dorsal guns," Trent said. Fire on my mark! The Aegis rotated sharply. Lasers cut through vacuum, striking the lead interceptor. It shattered into dust. The second broke pursuit, retreating toward its fleet. Status? Shields at 40%. Hull breach sealed. Casualties minimal. Trent nodded. Get us clear. Minutes stretched into silence as the Aegis fled the burning moon. Behind them, Velis 9 dimmed into distance, one more grave among countless stars. On the bridge, tension lingered like smoke. Officers moved with mechanical precision, suppressing shock with training. Message from command, Hensley said suddenly. Brief and fragmented. They confirmed simultaneous attacks across 3 frontier sectors. So it's war, Trent said quietly. Sir? It's begun everywhere at once. They think we'll break. He turned toward the viewport again. The Dominion's distant ships glimmered like knives. Open local broadcast channel, he said. Open. He leaned toward the mic, voice calm but iron cold. This is Captain Elias Trent of the Terran Accord Navy. Velis 9 has fallen under unprovoked assault by Kael'thari forces. To all Terran vessels, enact emergency code Ares Rising. Defend, regroup, retaliate. Humanity does not yield. He cut the transmission. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Hensley murmured, Do you think command will retaliate that fast? They'll have to. They'll have no choice. Trent's gaze remained fixed on the fading light of the moon below. They wanted war. They'll learn what that means. Dominion capital, Kaelar Prime. Far across the void, beneath spires of crystal and drifting light, the Kael'thari Oracle Voron knelt in the Chamber of Echoes. The air vibrated with faint harmonic resonance as streams of luminous mist coiled around him. He had warned them. For generations he had seen the vision, burning skies, black ships blotting out suns, voices like thunder proclaiming vengeance. His pleas had been dismissed as superstition by the Dominion's High Council. Now, as the psychic pulse of battle reverberated through space, he felt it, the awakening of something vast, cold, and unstoppable. The humans had been struck. He saw their collective consciousness harden like iron, millions of minds uniting in a single, ancient instinct, survival at any cost. It begins, Thorin whispered. His voice echoed through the crystal hall, hollow and final. They will not stop now. Back aboard the Aegis. The stars stretched as the ship entered jump sequence. Trent leaned against the command rail, shoulders heavy but posture steady. Sir, Hensley said quietly. Message relays from other sectors, same pattern. Attacks confirmed in Perseus Reach and Vega Rim. They're hitting everyone. Trent's eyes flicked toward the starlines forming outside the viewport. Then humanity's awake. The hum of the drives deepened. The Aegis leapt into faster-than-light travel, leaving the burning system behind. Inside the silent bridge, only the faint tremor of engines and the distant beat of alarms remained. Trent spoke softly, as if to himself. They warned them. The Oracle, the myths, all of it. They didn't listen. He straightened, expression hardening into command focus once more. Lieutenant, when we reach Theta Point, signal the fleet. Tell them everything. The Dominion struck first. Now the Accord fights back. Yes, sir. As the ship vanished into the fold of light, Trent turned once more toward the empty stars. His reflection stared back from the glass, tired eyes, clenched jaw, the face of a man who just watched peace die. He whispered, You shouldn't have done that. The words hung in the cabin like a vow. Far behind him, Velis 9 burned on, silent proof that the age of treaties had ended, and that humanity's long, relentless memory had just been awakened. The war didn't start with speeches, it started with silence. The kind that comes before the first roar of engines, before the first weapon charge hums through steel. 3 days after the fall of Velis 9, the Terran Accord changed forever. Across 1,000 worlds, the same command echoed through encrypted channels, Ares Rising. Every shipyard lit up. Factories once used for terraforming switched to weapon production. Civilian pilots volunteered by the millions. There was no conscription. Humanity didn't need one. They remembered Earth's centuries of blood and ruin, the near extinction during the collapse, and how survival had demanded unity stronger than mercy. Captain Elias Trent stood on the hangar deck of the TAS Iron Dawn, watching rows of new pilots file aboard their assault craft. The air smelled of fuel and metal. Engines whined as technicians calibrated targeting arrays. His executive officer, Commander Hensley, joined him. Fleet Command reports 2 Dominion systems already neutralized. No response from their Central Council. They're falling back to defensive positions. They thought we'd hesitate, Trent said quietly. They don't understand what they woke. Hensley's tone softened. The casualty reports from Velis 9 came in. Over 40,000 dead. Trent didn't flinch. Send their names to Fleet Archives. They'll be remembered when we finish this. He turned toward the flight bay's massive viewport. Beyond it, dozens of Terran warships drifted in perfect formation, silver hulls lined with railguns, missile ports glowing faintly red. Every ship bore the emblem of a clenched human hand rising from flame. Message from Admiral Wren, sir, said the comm officer over intercom. She's requesting immediate connection. Patch her through. The holographic projection shimmered into form beside him. Admiral Wren, commander of the Outer Fleet, eyes sharp and unyielding. Captain Trent, you're leading the counter-strike on the Kael'thari border worlds. Objective, neutralize their communication relays, cut their supply chain, no civilian targets unless provoked. Clear? Understood, Trent said. Wren's gaze tightened. We're better at war than they think, Elias. Don't prove them right about our brutality. Brutality isn't the goal, he replied. Efficiency is. The link faded. Hensley gave him a wary look. You almost sounded like her conscience. Trent allowed a faint smirk. Maybe she needed to hear one. The alarm sounded. Launch sequence 5 minutes. He stepped into the command bridge. All stations report. Navigation ready. Weapons charged. Fleet synchronization achieved. Trent's eyes narrowed at the holographic map, a swirl of bright lines marking hyperspace routes. The Dominion frontier stretched ahead, fractured into systems of gas giants, crystalline worlds, and dark nebulae. Begin jump countdown. Engines roared to life. The Iron Dawn leapt into the void, followed by a storm of Terran ships. The Kael'thari colony on Arinder never saw them coming. Trent's fleet emerged from hyperspace with surgical precision, cutting off escape vectors. The Dominion defense grid activated seconds too late. Target their command hub, he ordered. Railgun slugs streaked through vacuum, shattering crystal towers that gleamed beneath a pale sun. The alien fleet scrambled to respond, their ships slender and curved like living shells, firing beams that sliced through the dark. Trent watched every movement from his chair, expression still. Adaptive pattern Delta. Predict their formations. End it fast. Missiles arced across the void. Kael'thari's ships exploded in cascading light. Inside the bridge, every explosion reflected across Trent's face, a steady rhythm of cause and consequence. When the final enemy vessel broke apart, silence filled the comms. System secure, Hensley said. Minimal resistance. No survivors on their primary outpost. Trent rose from his seat. Transmit the declaration. This world is under Accord protection until surrender conditions are met. Sir, what if they refuse? They won't get the chance. Far away, deep within the Dominion's capital citadel, Oracle Vorin stood before the Council of Clarity. Their holographic forms surrounded him, their faces stern and luminous. You warned us of this outcome, one of the elders said. And yet you do nothing to prevent it. I cannot stop what was already written, Vorin replied. Your attack on the humans began the chain. Every vision since shows the same ending: fire, ruin, silence. The Dominion has stood for millennia, and will end within a decade if you continue. His voice trembled, not from fear but exhaustion. They do not fight for conquest. They fight because they cannot forget pain. The chamber quieted. One counselor hissed. Then you would have us kneel to them? I would have you survive them. No one answered. Voron's vision blurred, the floor melting into light. He saw glimpses of space aflame, human ships cutting through nebulae, the Dominion's proud cities collapsing into dust. At the center stood a human officer with steel-gray eyes and blood on his uniform, Elias Trent. The Oracle gasped and fell to one knee. It's already begun. On board the Iron Dawn, 2 days later, Trent studied new intelligence reports. Dominion fleets were withdrawing in chaos. Their leadership fractured, some worlds surrendering outright, others attempting futile resistance. Hensley entered quietly. Fleet Command has intercepted a message. It's from someone identifying himself as Voron, a Kael'thari oracle. Claims he predicted all of this. Trent looked up. He's reaching out to us? Yes. Says he wants to prevent total destruction. Trent leaned back. Patch it through, secure line. The lights dimmed. The alien's image appeared, a tall, frail figure surrounded by cascading symbols of light. Captain Elias Trent, Voron began. His tone carried weary respect. You lead the storm. You must know what it brings. Trent's expression stayed unreadable. It brings balance. You struck first. We're finishing it. I warned my people this would happen. They didn't listen. But you must, before both our races burn. Trent stepped closer to the hologram. You talk about prophecy. I deal in choices. You made yours. Voron's gaze deepened. And when the fire consumes everything, will you still call it choice? Static crackled. The signal weakened. Transmission cut off, said the Comtech. Trent turned away. Delete the record. No distractions. Hensley hesitated. Sir, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe, Trent said. But truth doesn't change what they did. He stared at the viewport, where Arinder's shattered fragments drifted among the stars. If there's a prophecy, it's already being written by us. That night, the Iron Dawn cruised in silence through the wreckage field. Trent stood alone in the observation chamber. Outside, pieces of alien ships floated by, curved glass, glimmering fragments that once belonged to cities. He thought of the faces from Velis 9, the desperate calls for help that had faded under static. Rage had carried him through those first days, but now something colder had taken root, resolve. Humanity's vengeance wasn't rage. It was momentum. Hensley's voice came softly through the calm. Fleet Command just confirmed next target, Kaeldar Prime. Direct assault within 48 hours. Trent didn't turn. Understood. Tell the crew to rest. We move soon. Yes, sir. T. The stars over Kaeldar Prime burned crimson. The Dominion's homeworld hung beneath a veil of smoke and broken satellites, its once silver skies turned black. The Terran fleet, thousands strong, stretched across orbit like a living wall of steel and fire. Humanity's answer to the first strike had come in full. Captain Elias Trent stood at the center of the Iron Dawn's bridge, gaze locked on the planet's surface. Vast crystalline spires jutted from the ground, fractured by bombardments. Fires spread across the equatorial cities, visible even from orbit. Status, he said. Orbital control achieved. Enemy defenses collapsing, Hensley replied. Ground transmissions mostly silent. Some surrender signals, scattered, disorganized. Trent's expression remained still. Any word from the Dominion Council? None. Intelligence believes they've gone dark or fled underground. He nodded once. Prepare the command channel. I'll speak to the fleet. Moments later, every Terran ship received the broadcast. Trent's face appeared across thousands of displays, his voice calm, stripped of triumph. This is Captain Trent. The Dominion began this war believing fear would break us. It didn't. We did what we had to. But remember this, we end wars to prevent the next one, not to celebrate destruction. Maintain precision. No cruelty. No waste. We finish this with control. He cut the transmission, knowing it would be recorded for centuries. Behind him, Hensley hesitated. You almost sound like you regret it. Trent's eyes didn't move from the burning world. Regret doesn't matter. Consequence does. In the depths of Kaeldar Prime, beneath the shattered Capitol Dome, Oracle Vorin waited inside the Chamber of Reflections. The walls shimmered faintly with psionic light, once bright, now dim and cracked. Around him, fragments of the Dominion's past, scrolls, relics, memory crystals, lay in ruin. He had known this moment would come. He had seen it for centuries. Yet seeing and feeling were never the same. He pressed a trembling hand to his temple. Through the haze of pain, he reached across the void with his mind, searching for one human presence, the man who led the storm. On the Iron Dawn, the calms flickered. Incoming transmission, Hensley said. Encrypted on Dominion frequency. Origin point. Kaeldar Prime, Capital Ruins. Trent turned sharply. Put it through. The hologram shimmered, forming Vorin's image, pale, weary, his eyes hollowed by exhaustion and grief. Captain Trent, the Oracle said softly. So it ends where it began. Trent crossed his arms. You wanted this to end. You knew how it would. Vorin shook his head. I wanted them to listen. They didn't. I warned them, if they struck first, humanity would become the fire they could never extinguish. Now I speak only to limit the ashes. You chose war, Trent said. You guided them. I guided no one. I only saw. The Oracle's voice broke faintly. But you, how long will you keep striking before there's nothing left to hit? Trent's silence stretched. Then he said, Until the galaxy remembers not to forget us. Vorin's gaze deepened. You think this victory will bring peace? It won't. Every species watching now will fear you, and fear breeds the same mistake. Trent's reply came quiet, but solid as iron. Then let them fear enough never to start it again. For a moment, the two figures stared across the holographic divide, one ancient and broken, the other human and unyielding. Two faces of the same fate. Vorin's voice faded to a whisper. So the prophecy stands fulfilled. We struck first, and humanity never stopped. Static consumed the transmission. Transmission lost, Hensley said. Locate him, Trent ordered. I want a precise fix on that signal. Sir, planetary scans show heavy radiation zones. No surviving command centers. Trent exhaled slowly. Then it's over. Orders for the fleet? He hesitated. The word fire weighed heavy, though it waited unspoken. Begin orbital sterilization, he said finally. His tone was steady, but something inside him cracked as the order left his lips. Outside, the Iron Dawn's batteries ignited, followed by thousands more. Streams of light descended toward the planet. The surface convulsed beneath impact after impact. The bridge was silent. No one cheered. When the final bombardment ended, Kaeldar Prime no longer glowed with life. Only shards of its crystalline cities jutted from oceans of molten glass. Hensley whispered, Planetary resistance terminated. Trent gave no answer. His eyes were distant, unfocused. For a long moment, he stood without moving, the weight of inevitability pressing on his chest. Hours later, in his private quarters, he replayed the Oracle's words. How long will you keep striking before there's nothing left to hit? He poured a small measure of dark liquid from a ration bottle, stared at it, then set it down untouched. The silence in the room felt deeper than any void. A soft knock at the door. Come in. Hensley entered, hesitating before she spoke. Fleet Command reports total victory. The Dominion has ceased all transmissions. You're being recalled to Sol for commendation. Trent's lips twitched into something that wasn't quite a smile. Commendation for what? Efficiency? For survival, she said. He looked up at her. At what cost? Hensley didn't answer. She didn't need to. She placed a data slate on his desk. Something intercepted during the bombardment, a psychic echo, possibly the Oracle's final broadcast. He activated the playback. A faint voice, distorted and slow, whispered through static. If you strike them first, they will never stop, until there is nothing left to stop them. Then silence. Trent shut it off. The words lingered anyway. Prepare the fleet for withdrawal, he said. Set course for home. As the Terran ships departed Kildare Prime, the battlefield below cooled. Amid the glass plains, deep underground, one last crystal chamber flickered with dim light. Within it lay the body of Vorin. His eyes were closed, yet faint energy rippled from him, a dying mind releasing its final thought into the void. That thought spread across subspace frequencies, reaching sensors on distant worlds, carried on radiation and resonance. The echo of his prophecy, half warning, half memorial. Civilizations across the galaxy listened and trembled. Days later, back at Sol Command, the war officially ended. News feeds called it the 5-day retribution. The Accord declared total victory. Statues were already being designed. Trent stood alone on the viewing deck overlooking Earth, the cradle of everything. Blue oceans. White clouds. The only world that had learned survival through extinction. Admiral Wren approached quietly. You did what history demanded, she said. He did in turn. History always demands blood. It also demands remembrance. The Kael'thari will serve as proof that humanity can't be cornered. Trent's voice came low. Or proof that we can't stop once we start. Wren's eyes softened. You think we've become monsters? He looked at the planet below. Monsters don't question themselves. We still do. That's the only difference left. Wren gave a slow nod. Rest, Captain. You've earned it. When she left, he stayed by the glass. The stars beyond Earth shimmered faintly, silent witnesses to everything done in their light.